Hi, my name is Sophia, and welcome back to Coming Home to Her. Today, I wanted to touch base on something that I had a moment the other day that I kind of reflected on and was like, that's actually a great question to ask. And that is, when you move to a new place, whether it's a new city, a new town, a new country, there is a moment that all of a sudden you realize that it feels like home. It's not a situation or a person or something grand that has to happen, but I do find that it is the small accumulation of things that have repeated themselves over and over, and then you reflect on it and you're like, wow, actually it does kind of feel like home to me. And I think that's something that we should celebrate a bit more. It's almost like the day that you became a local in the city is the day that you stopped using Google Maps and stopped arriving or leaving the house earlier to make sure that you are on time somewhere just in case you got lost. For me, specifically, when I lived in Copenhagen, I remember when I moved there, the first time I took the metro, I actually took the wrong metro and was going in the complete opposite direction that I was supposed to. And I remember I kind of freaked out and I was like, oh my gosh, no, I'm going to end up in Sweden, literally, because I was going in that direction, ironically enough. And that sense of kind of panic and anxiety was obviously me being super uncomfortable, kind of scared, living in a big city. I was 18 years old and not knowing my way around. Obviously feeling like a complete outsider and an amateur in many different ways. And as I lived there and as time went by, I realized that the moment I became more of a local was when I stopped using Google Maps. I can totally think back to different situations where I pulled over on the street on my bike, whipped out my phone, and was like, oh my God, okay, where am I going? Kind of panicking, not wanting to get lost. And naturally, when you repeat things over and over, you don't think about it anymore. And when I thought about Lisbon specifically, I remember when I first moved there the first week, I lived kind of in an Airbnb a little farther away. Not farther away, but just a little farther away from my office. And I had to take the metro to work. And I remember with some of my old colleagues, I asked them if they could take the metro with me because it's something that kind of scared me as I wasn't familiar with it. I personally have to say that I don't know why, but metros are always a little scary. I guess that's my confession for the day. But for example, in Paris, I'm scared of getting lost in the metro and ending up somewhere that I shouldn't. Maybe that's stupid, but we all have something that gives us a little bit of anxiety. And taking the metro in Lisbon was something that I needed to conquer. And I asked my colleagues to kind of hold my hand and join me for the first time, which was like, I just got to do this once and then I know how to do it. And as time went by, obviously doing it every morning, commuting to the office that I was working at, it became familiar. And those small gestures, whether it is going to your local cafe that you frequent, going to the supermarket, recognizing the same people. You don't need to know their name and they don't need to know your name, but just that sense of belonging and community where it's not just random faces you're seeing every day that you don't think twice about or don't recognize. I was also thinking back to a moment here in Vienna, particularly, I think it was in the end of March or beginning of April, I was walking down the street towards the city center. And there was a woman and her friend coming in my direction that I didn't recognize, but all of a sudden she's like, oh my gosh, hi Sophia, how are you? Da-da-da. And I was so caught off guard because for the longest time here, not that I didn't feel a sense of belonging, but I didn't feel completely at home. And there's something so special about running into people you know on the street, especially in a new city that you move to. For me, it really gave me this joy of being like, wow, okay, I'm running into people I know, someone who knows me as well. I'm not a completely random person living in this city. And that, of course, is the natural evolution of building your community, which is a really nice feeling and something that is kind of understated, in my opinion. Another thing that happened to me, actually, I think the other day, honestly, I went to the supermarket nearby and there's this elderly man who stands there every day and sells his newspaper, where I recognized that he recognized who I am and vice versa. I don't know his name, he doesn't know mine, but that small hello and like a passing goodbye hello is something that also made me feel like, oh, like, it's a sense of community. I see you on a, few day basis, and that small interaction makes you feel less lonely and less random in a city. I literally remember when I went home in December and January, this last December and January, I landed in Maui and they opened the plane door and that stretchy thing, oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called right now. But anyways, it attached to the plane door. I stepped outside and I recognized a guy I went to high school with. And for me, that's like, oh, I'm home. And literally in the span of 3 hours, I ran into 6 people that I knew. And every time I go home, it's such a wonderful feeling to have that extreme sense of community. Obviously, Maui is a tiny island, so it's super easy to run into people. And I mean, I don't think you can leave your house without seeing someone you know. Compared to, of course, living in a capital city, it's different. There's thousands of people. And so more random to run into people. But that small sense of community, I think, really goes a long way. And when you are living in a new city, town, country, whatever it may be, that's a really nice feeling. And something that I think should not be ignored or even just kind of like disregarded. I think it's so cool and such a mini milestone. And I hope that you can also think of a moment with yourself where perhaps you have been in a similar situation, whether you're moving to a new place, have moved to a new place, and think about if there was a specific moment that you felt like it's your home, or whether you can reflect back and think, wow, actually, I have built a home for myself. Thank you for listening and welcome home. Bye.